All right, here we are. This, everyone, is our very first episode of Becoming Boss Babes. I am Tiffany Burke, and I'm joined by my fabulous business partner, Korin Nolan. And today, we are going to tell you our story of how we met, how we became friends, then business partners, and then built Dynamic Pilates TV. So, Korin, do you want to start?
Well, we met on Instagram. I mean, that was, I think, the very first initial conversation that we had. I was pregnant, and I think I did a post on pregnancy, and I don't know what I wrote, but I just asked the question, anybody got any great pregnancy moves on the reformer, pregnancy exercises? Let me know, share them with me. And Tiffany here responded, and that's where our little romance began.
I know, we met online. It's kind of like we did. Our romance began online. And I think through Instagram, and I know Instagram gets a really bad rap, and I'm scared for my children to grow up in social media. But, I've met some really nice people in the Pilates community because of Instagram. And because of Instagram, we became friends, and we realized that we had so much in common. We're the same age. We're the same height. We both like pink.
Can you see my pink wall?
I know. I just asked her, I'm like, how did you get your husband on board with a pink living room? But we just had so much in common. And
we have got more things in common than just liking pink and being 5'10".
I know. But we both have children later. We got married a little later in life. Later in life, I mean, like, we got married in our late 30s, and we had babies near 40. You have a son when you were younger.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot in common, and our personalities are pretty similar too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we were talking about our personalities, and we'll discuss that probably a little bit later, but how it's important to work with someone who you genuinely do get on with, and we did click and have that chemistry like you do in any relationship, which I think is so important, isn't it?
Yeah, we do have fun. And so we became friends on Instagram, and my husband and I went on vacation to London, and I messaged her. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in London, and it'd be so fun to meet. And we met, and you were like 12 months pregnant when I met you. She was such a treat. Not 12, but was it you were about 7 months pregnant?
I was
probably?
pretty pregnant. I was about 7 or 8 months pregnant, and I was like, Tiffany was going, I want to come to London, I want to do a really cool Pilates class, where can I go? And so I thought, oh God, damn it, I'm going to have to do a Pilates class with that. So I waddled along to King's Road, and we did a class at this studio called Hardcore, which is quite cool in Chelsea, and I took her there, and somehow managed to get through the class, huffing and puffing with my big belly. And then we had an awesome day that day, didn't we?
It was fun. And it did not feel like it was the first time I met you. It definitely felt like a friend that you've had like your whole life. And we just kind of clicked right away. And we took that class. Was that on a mega reformer?
Yeah, it's a mega
like
reformer.
That, right?
It's not it wasn't a normal reformer. It's a specialised reformer that they had made for their studios. And they're quite a big brand within London, but it was fun, wasn't it? And then we met lovely Sean, and Judy was there. Was Judy there that day? I can't remember actually, but there was
Judy was there,
Catherine,
and Catherine was there, and Jill Harris was there too.
That was it, yeah. And we had a nice.
We're totally dropping names in the Pilates Instagram community.
But we went for a really nice lunch. But that's the first time that I'd actually met those girls as well. Mm-hmm. It was just a really random day, but such a nice meeting. And didn't we take those kind of things for granted back then?
I know. But I was telling, after that lunch, I went home, and my husband didn't go to lunch with me, but I went back to our Airbnb, and he was like, how did it go? And I'm like, it's so interesting. I just met Korin today, and then we went to this lunch with these other people that we had never met, and I really felt like I was going to lunch with my friend, not like it felt like you and I were like a couple going to lunch with meeting these people for the first time. Because even though I had just met them and I had just met you, but you and I definitely had like a really fun bond and connection.
Yeah.
And
so we definitely did. That's where it started. And then I think you probably went back to America, obviously, and then we got talking, and I don't know if I'd had Jack, my baby, then. I think he was born, and I don't know, maybe I was just in this weird dream world that you are when you just have a baby, and I was like, hey, Tiffany, do you fancy starting a business together? Didn't I, when I
and
called
I'm like,
you?
all right. She did. She called me out of the blue. It was summertime. You either were just about to have Jack or you just had him.
Yeah.
And we had kept in touch. Like, you were sending me messages like, you had sent me a message that you were waiting in line to have him at the hospital. So I knew you were having him. So we were in touch. And you called me, and I'm like, yeah. And the funny thing is that I had been thinking about doing an online video business like Pilates Anytime, but I didn't know how to get started. And when you called me, I'm like, yes, I want to. Literally, I had been researching it. And so we decided that day.
Yeah, it was just kind of finding the how. But then when I spoke to you, because I was thinking, obviously, first of all, thinking, how can I do this on my own? But then I thought, why do I have to do it on my own? Wouldn't it be so much more fun to do it with somebody? And obviously, you were the first person that sprung to mind. And then, yeah, I had a couple of contacts, and we just made it happen. And it happened so quickly and so easily and naturally. And I think sometimes that's how the best things start, isn't it?
We just jumped right in.
Yeah, when they just kind of grow organically without too much effort or stress.
Yeah. So, kind of like how we're doing this podcast in a way. Like, you want to do a podcast? Okay. And so what do? I go on Amazon and buy us cool gadgetry for it.
So I have to admit, so Tiffany is definitely the person behind this podcast. I know that she's been listening to a lot more podcasts recently, way more than I have. I've listened to the odd one or two, and I do want to listen to more rather than sit and watch mind-numbing TV day in, day out in lockdown. I want to do more productive things with my time, like listen to podcasts. And Tiffany was like, Korin, we're going to do a podcast. Okay, Tiffany. Yeah, fine. How do we do that then? And she researched the whole thing, and she bought the microphone. I couldn't even buy the frigging microphone, but she went on Amazon and bought it for me and sent it to me.
Oh, that's right. I did have to do that.
She literally spoon-fed me to the point where we are right now doing this podcast.
But I wanted us to have the same microphones, so if something like today happened when it wasn't working, I could be like, okay, plug this into that. But you had a situation I hadn't tried yet.
Yes, but it's all a learning curve, isn't it? It's all about trial and error. We'll get there next time with the microphone. But
that's kind of like what we did for Dynamic Pilates TV as well. Is like we knew nothing about filming. I just knew that we should not use our iPhones. I knew that we needed real cameras. And so we basically researched it, bought cameras, and started filming. Like, literally, we didn't even have a business plan, I don't think.
No, I don't think we did have a business plan. And I know some people who I was talking to about the business before we started it, right, you need to have a real strong business plan. And I don't advise going into business without doing one, really, but we just did because, I don't know, it just worked, didn't it? But we've definitely 100% grown over time and developed over time, haven't we? And added things to the website, and obviously naturally it's just got better. We've got better at filming our content as well, and we found things that do and don't work, and it's all about the lighting, the setting, isn't it? And there's so many things.
We knew what we wanted. We wanted a channel because there was at the time there was nothing out there that did dynamic style reform or Pilates. Everything was kind of boring and safe. And we knew we wanted that. We knew what we wanted. We didn't have a business plan, but we knew we wanted really good content, fun, fresh content. And we just figured we just needed to film it and figure out how to put it on the internet.
Well, I think we wanted to do something. We wanted to do classes that inspired us, something that we would want to go to and do ourselves. And finding classes like that online at that time, I mean, you know, since the pandemic, everybody's gone online. But I think before that point, there wasn't much out there at all, was there, in that kind of area of that dynamic stuff? And so we wanted to find the classes that we wanted to do, and that inspired us. And so that was definitely the inspiration for it. But yeah, then we've got a great little team. We're a little trio, aren't we?
We are. We are lucky. We have Graham does everything for us.
Graham's like, oh, here we go again. yes, girls, how can I help you today? We're like, Graham, how do we do this? Graham, how do you do that? But yeah, he's great. He knows, he is the mastermind behind it. And yeah, then we started off on Vimeo, didn't we? The normal Vimeo site. Mm-hmm. And then we moved over a year ago to Vimeo OTT, which is like a platform for people like ourselves making content that we make.
But we literally, everything was trial and error because we had our original website built, and it wasn't a bad website, but we outgrew it so fast that it was crashing because we had more subscribers than we ever thought we'd have. Mm-hmm. And the video content was so big that it was crashing all the time, which was a bad learning curve because mm-hmm. people got frustrated, and I would get frustrated too. And so then we had to bite the bullet and invest a little bit more money and switch over to the platform that we use now. And, it's all a learning curve. But there hasn't been a lot of people doing it, so we didn't know who to reach out to. There wasn't a lot of... No. And it seems like forever ago, but it was only 2 years ago. No, a year ago. A year ago.
No, it was over that, wasn't it? About a year. It was 2 years in March, isn't it?
Yeah.
That I came to you and we launched 2 years ago in March.
You're right. We launched 2 years ago in March, and then a year after that we launched our app. But so from the time that Korin called me in the summertime, I came out Thanksgiving weekend, and I flew out to London Thanksgiving weekend that year, and we filmed our first intro video. We filmed some classes together too, and that was like our first big step, I think.
Yeah, we just needed a starting point. I think we had about 20 videos each, didn't we, to launch the site. Mm-hmm. And I just remember filming like crazy. And yeah, I even remember filming one class and realised that another mic issue, didn't have the mic switched on. And I was like, oh, for God's sake.
So we really launched with 20 videos each. That is it. Yeah. And now we probably have close to 400 on there. That's a lot of classes.
Yeah, because we used to, it's a lot of Pilates. We used to have just 2 videos a week that we released every mm-hmm. Friday, didn't we? Now we release a Monday class, a Wednesday class, and 2 on a Friday. So we've got 4 classes a week that we release. Mm-hmm. And we've introduced mat work because of the pandemic, as I said the other day in my Instagram post. And we've introduced more pregnancy classes, pre and postnatal, beginner, intermediate, and try to branch out and be, incorporate everyone basically, haven't we?
Yeah. And we have more trainers. At first, the reason why we only had 2 classes a week at first, because it was just us.
Yeah. And it's the content, isn't it? It's finding the time, because obviously at the same time, we had our businesses to run, we've got our children, we've got our families. It is the time, isn't it? Trying to find the time to do all those things. But we quickly realised that we needed to bring other trainers in. And also not just for us to make life easier for us, but also because people who have the app, they want to see other trainers and they want to, want to train with other people, understandably.
Yeah.
But it's about finding the great trainers.
Styles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's nice to mix things up. I mean, we're both Peloton fans, aren't we, as well? And I think when you do another app, you can see why people like Dynamic Pilates TV and what it is that you need to have on there.
Yeah.
Do you not find that? Do you not think when you look
agree.
at the Peloton?
I agree. Their app, and I actually, whenever I download people's apps all the time, other businesses' apps, and you learn from it. You're like, wow, this is a great feature. Korin one day called me, and she's like, hey, we need to create playlists. I'm like, what do you mean playlists? Like playlists that people can work out to, because because they do that on Peloton. So we're constantly trying to add new things into the app, and I think our biggest resource is obviously our customers too, our subscribers. Mm-hmm. If they say they want more tower classes, we're on it right away. We're trying to figure out how to get more tower classes.
Yeah, we want people to actually tell us what they want more of, because that's how we know, whether we're on the right page or not, isn't it? We like to get people's feedback from the classes that we do and stuff. But yeah, the playlists. I mean, on Peloton they do playlists, and they dress up if they're doing like a musical theatre playlist and things like that. I mean, I think we're going to get there one day with the dressing up. What do you think, Tiff?
She wants us. She's the musical theater buff. When we later on today, we're going to record some podcasts about ourselves. And hopefully she brings up the fact that she's a musical theater buff. And she even got me to do, you're not going to sing, but you made us do a production number on the Reformers a year ago.
Oh my God, that was
when you're
hilarious.
here. Remember you made up that little number?
Yeah,
that little show number?
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a show number. It was just me wanting to be in a girl band, I think.
I let her lead the way on that one.
Tiffany was like, all right, Korin, go on then. Show me what you want to do.
But if you're ever around Korin, whenever like we're doing things and she's thinking, she is always humming. She's always like, da, 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 but with her little British accent. She's always humming, no matter what.
I hum because I never know the words to any of the songs. I just have to hum. I wish I knew the words. But someone's just asked, any advice for someone who is just starting out? Do you mean just starting out in Pilates or just starting out as in a business? What would your advice be, Tiff?
You know what? I kind of feel like you never stop learning. Never feel like your craft is perfect and it's the best it's ever going to be. Like, I think you and I are always looking for new ways of doing something to make things fresh. And I think your business will get stale. And I had a studio for 10 years in Salt Lake City, and which was about 30 minutes from where I am now. And the business got stale because I stopped trying to be creative. I stopped trying to make things feel different and fresh. So with the studio that I have now, the biggest difference is I think outside the box. My classes, they're always different. They may be somewhat similar, but the clients, they're always different. And that's keeping people renewing their memberships because it never gets boring, I think.
Yeah, it's keeping in tune with what your clients want, isn't it? And trying to better the business, whatever business, whether it's a studio, whether it's an online business, it's just trying to grow and evolve with the time as well, isn't it? And constantly being on the ball, not just kind of finding something that works and going, yeah, this is fine, this is me done, let's just stick with this. You always have to keep growing, don't you?
And I feel like I was probably one of the biggest Pilates snobs out there. I am a recovering Pilates snob for sure. But I was beating my head against a wall for 10 years trying to convince people to like classical Pilates. And I loved it. I think a lot of dancers love it, but my clients got bored. And I'm just using that as an example of just because you think it's the best way to do something, it's not always the best for your business. You need to keep evolving and keep changing, I think, and keep learning for sure.
Yeah, because I think classical Pilates, as amazing as it is, and I'm not putting it down at all because that's how we learned originally, but it's difficult, isn't it? And I think for people, everyday people, to actually do the advanced stuff, which is the more fun stuff, it's really, really hard to get to that point. So it's often you never actually get to that point, do you? A lot of clients don't get there. So I think that's why it becomes a little bit stale and a little bit boring, because you end up repeating a lot of the exercises. And they're not so fun ones. Whereas with Dynamic Pilates, there's always something new. There's always a new, fresh way, a new twist, isn't there? That you can make a simpler exercise more exciting just by using different prop even. The both.
You know who, the person who like my light bulb or my aha moment would be, I joined Instagram because my friend Elizabeth, who is actually on Dynamic Pilates TV, she said, do you Instagram? And I'm like, what's Instagram? I don't have time for that. And she's like, no, there's this lady that I found on Instagram. Her name is, your handle at the time, it's Korin, by the way. The handle was Power Pilates UK, right? Wasn't that your handle at the time? She's like, you got this lady, it's Power something UK. And she showed me her phone. And I'm like, okay. And so I started following this lady from England. It turns out to be Korin. And she was just doing things slightly different. And I was so stuck in the Pilates box of this is how Joseph Pilates did it. This is how you have to do it. And I'm creative myself, and I had never thought to change it or do it differently. And when I watched her Instagram videos, and they were only 15 seconds at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about turning the other way or doing different springs. And literally, I mean, it's kind of cool. Maybe I stalked you and convinced you to be my friend, but that would let fast forward a couple of years, we have this business together.
Which is pretty amazing, isn't it? The way that we met.
It is kind of cool, huh?
That's really lovely. Yeah. But yeah, we're so excited to do this podcast as well because we have some exciting. I don't suppose we can say who we've got, really, can we? Just yet, we're going to keep that surprise.
We do have a guest next Wednesday, and we're super excited to chat with her because she's kind of the pioneer for what Dynamic Pilates TV, what Korin and I are doing. She's definitely paved the way for online workouts. Mm-hmm. So we're really excited, and we'll announce that in a couple of days, I'm sure. So we're really excited to interview her, and that's what we're going to be doing here on this podcast is talking to other women who are entrepreneurs and maybe they're moms and learning their story about how they learning their stories of their failures and their successes, and if they have any advice. And it's just really kind of nice to hear someone else's story mm-hmm. and how they did it.
It's nice to hear the failures more than the good bits, really, sometimes, isn't it? Because it makes people seem more relatable. I mean, I was listening to a podcast which I was telling you about earlier, and she was talking about the fact, how does this woman, because she looks like she does absolutely everything. If I were to look at you and I didn't know you, Tiffany, for example, you're doing Dynamic Pilates TV, you've got your studio, you've got your kids, you've got your family, you're doing another business here, you're doing workshops. It looks like you do so much. And this topic is exactly what this lady was talking about in her podcast. And she was like, how does Georgie, her name, how does she do it all? And it's like, well, the plain simple answer is, I don't. And it's just interesting because it makes you feel like, oh, okay, she's not Superwoman. And neither are we at all, by any means, are we? And it's probably, I think we're going to, let people know about our struggles a little bit as well and tell people the real stuff rather than just trying to make things look glossy.
And I feel like social media, you only post the good stuff. You don't see the failures. And we both have failed a bunch. And you're just seeing the things that have succeeded. Mm-hmm. So, we'll tell those stories about how we failed, and hopefully our guests will enlighten us on their failures too, and make us feel better about ourselves. But are
we going to talk about our failures now then? So basically we're going to switch off in a minute here, and mm-hmm. we are going to go and record 2 more podcasts, like Tiffany said earlier. Mm-hmm. Tiffany's going to interview me. I'm going to interview her, kind of, and you're going to be able to hear those very soon. Just basically about our story. So we might divulge mm-hmm. a few bits of information like that there.
So, anyways, hopefully Dynamic Pilates TV continues to grow. I think it will. We have some pretty big goals ahead of us. Korin told me her goals earlier today, and I'm like, what? Are those numbers? Are those pounds?
Listen, I'm all about manifesting at the moment. I'm like, yes, girl, we can do this. Manifesting is the way. I'm going to tell you more about it later. I think I should do a podcast just on manifesting once I get my head around it.
I think you should.
When I get my head around it a little bit more. Yeah. I did actually manifest something, and it came true. So I don't think I've told you about
What was it?
I can't tell you now. I'll tell you later.
Is it the pink wall behind you?
Oh no, that was easy. That was just we're having a pink wall doing it.
Is that your sister-in-law under there, Jackie? She
Jacqueline.
Loved it.
Hi, Jacqueline.
Is that Jacqueline?
Yes, that's my lovely little sister-in-law.
Hi, Jacqueline. We were just talking about her. So here's the thing about Korin and I. This is why I was like, this podcast is either going to work or it's gonna fail, because we stay on topic 10% of the time. Like when we call each other, and we do talk as often as we can. Well, we usually talk for at least an hour. 10 minutes of that hour is about Dynamic Pilates TV and business. Usually the rest is us just bitching about our lives.
And then Tiffany going, oh, hey, look at my new trainers. You see they've got this pink bit. She just told me, we were like trying to figure out the mics earlier. And then she just went, oh, look what I've just bought. These nice. I'm like, oh, they're nice. Why'd you get them
And then you're like, turn it around. Let me see.
Oh, yeah, God, the mics aren't working. Damn it.
Yeah, it's us.
That's basically how conversations go.
But hopefully we get our shit together. And can I swear? See, we don't even know.
Well, you already said fuck earlier on, so yeah, I'm thinking
I know.
yes.
Yeah. So we might have to have that special category for adults only. Because of
I don't think kids are going to be wanting to listen to this anyway, so I think we're good.
Oh, let's hope not. We're good. All right, guys. So this is just a little teaser of what our Becoming Boss Babes is going to be about.